Whoa, what's good, man? My name is FlemLo Raps, and today we got a new series for you. Now, I'm not 100% sure how often this is gonna go up. It's gonna mainly depend on the reception here, but I've been kind of wanting to do something like this for a while. So basically, all this is me taking some of the questions that I get in the comment section that I want to maybe expound on a little bit, and I also want more people to see because I get, I probably get a similar question pretty often, and answering them or reacting to them here in a video. Now today, pretty much all of these questions are related to recruiting in NCAA 14. If you have any questions that you would like to ask, you can drop them in the comment section right here, whether it's related to recruiting, something else in the game, something that's got nothing to do with the game. I don't really give a f. So anyway, without further ado, first question. All right, so the first question comes from Trey55991. I'm in my 4th year at Georgia, and I've never really had a problem with recruiting until this dynasty. In my 3 years, we went 12-2, 14-0, and 13-1 with 2 SEC titles and a national championship. Now, every big recruit wants to come to UGA, but it seems I lose out on a bunch of them. And I end up signing a class of only 7 to 10 guys. That's not enough. This year is gonna be a little bit better, and I even put a lot of points into them, but I can never seem to stay in the recruiting race. Any reason why that is? Yeah, I think there's probably a reason. Okay, here's what I would do. When you either go to a big school or you become a big school, you're gonna have a lot of people interested. So my first question to you is, under your coach skills, do you have your recruiting max all the way out? At this point, you've been winning all these titles, so you're getting a whole bunch of coach XP. So you should have your recruiting maxed out. And by maxed out, I mean everything 3 out of 3. Assuming you have that, you should have instant commit open. All right, so the very first thing you should do, because when you start the season, you're gonna see a whole bunch of green. Everybody wants to come to you, and you probably eyes big like, oh shit, I want to recruit everybody. And that's cool, but you can't recruit everybody all at once. So the first thing you do, go down the list, find people who are first. Only people who are first. Put all of them on your list first. After that, because you're such a big school, you're gonna have your pick still of people who are interested. So instead of just slapping everybody that's interested, find the people that you absolutely want the most. Outside of the people who are first on your list, let's say there's 8 of them. And then find 10 more people who you gotta have. Everybody's scouted in the off season and in week 1, and then once you go in there, offer every single person that's first on your list. If it's 8 of them and you're Georgia and your record look like you say it look, and you got your stuff maxed out of them 8, you're gonna sign about 3 to 5 people right off bat. You know what I'm saying? So you're getting 7 to 10. You can get 3 to 5 right now. After that's done, whoever's first on your list that did not sign, that you're not crazy about having, stop fucking with them for a minute. Leave them on the list, but just stop fucking with them. Go to those 10 people that you gotta have. All right, of those 10, take your top, put them in order. Put them in order on your board from the guy you gotta have the most to the guy you gotta have the least, and max everybody out until you're out of points. If you have to scout a whole bunch and you can only max out 5 people that first week, max out 5 people that first week, don't touch the rest of them. They should have 700 points forever until they're committed to your school. You know what I'm saying? Forever until they're committed to your school. So the next week, you're going to obviously have a bunch of free points because you don't have to scout and you don't have to offer as many people those scholarships. Every week though, go through, make sure there's nobody that's new to the list. If it's somebody that's new to being first on your list, offer them. Take all the points off of them and offer them. Trying to get those instant commits. That's how you chip away at getting a whole bunch of recruits. Just step by step by step. Don't get out in front of yourself. At the same time, as you continue to go through the week, so say now you're in week 3. Of your list of 10 people that you gotta have, you already got about 5 of them maxed out. Whatever points you have left, max out the next 3 or however many you can. If you can get them all maxed at that point, get them all maxed. As a matter of fact, you should be able to. If you got all your stuff, you should be able to get all your 10 people 700 points. Don't give them a lot of points. Give them all of the points. You know what I'm saying? Because you said I'm giving them a lot of points. I don't know what that means. Give them 700 points. As the weeks go, and you're still good, man. It's like week 3 right now. As the weeks go, you're looking at those people. If they ever get first on the list, you offering them. If they ever get too low on the list where you're like, it depends on the number. I say usually between like 1,500 points. And really, for me, if you're like 1,000 to about 2,000, once I'm at that level, then I'm gonna kick you off the list. And you just gotta, okay, cool. Because at that point, you've done everything. You've given this man all the points that you have. These are all the points that can be given. You know what I'm saying? And if you got 3 other schools above you and you're steady going backwards, okay, cool. I can't get him. Throw him off. You got those 700. Apply them to the next guy who's in line. After you repeat that process several times, once you get about week 6 or week 7, you're gonna have probably 5 to 6 signees already. You know what I mean? And you're gonna have some available points because you're gonna have people that are instant committed and people that you done kicked off the list. At this point, you can go back through your board, find people who aren't being recruited who you want, give them the points, or you can do what I like to do and go back into the pool, find the rejects, find people who aren't being recruited at all, because it's gonna always be those people. Get them scouted. If you add 6 people to your list and scout all of them, like 3 of them are gonna be pretty good, and you boom, max them out. But it's by constantly going through that process and keeping the people that you really want maxed out all the time, making sure you're offering people every single time they get first on your list. And with a team like Georgia, you should be getting about 15 plus recruits at least. Anyway, man, I hope that answered your question. I could probably go a little deeper, but I think that's the main thing. Like, focus on that, man, and you'll be straight. All right, the next question comes from one from Twitter and one from YouTube. When I start answering this question, I'm gonna end up answering both of these, so I'm gonna go ahead and read both of them right now. All right, so the first one from Twitter came from BSU Transfer. He said, FlemLo Raps, what stats do you look at when recruiting cornerbacks and offensive linemen? Next one's from YouTube. Eddie Walker asks, do you look at size or weight when recruiting, i.e. like big receivers and cornerbacks, or do you just go for stars and overall? All right, I'm gonna answer both of those questions in one. I'm gonna start out with the offensive linemen because I have the least amount to say about them, and then I'll go to the receivers, then I go into the corners. Offensive linemen, the main thing that I look at is overall and acceleration. I know you're probably like, acceleration, what the fuck? Offensive lineman, why does he need acceleration? Well, in the game, it seems like, you know those offensive linemen who will be beat and can kind of like morph into position and get a block, or they're really good when anytime it comes to pulling or anytime they're on the screen. It seems, just based on it, it's like not hard research, it's just years of me playing the game back when I used to play like a lot. It seems like acceleration is the stat that dictates how well they do that. And that's one of the biggest things that separate linemen in my opinion. Now, of course, run block, pass block, impact block, and awareness are essential. But all those things are tied directly into the overall of the lineman. So that's why I say I mainly look at the overall, which will let me know that those 4 things are good. Of course, I'm gonna look at those 4 things, but I'm never even gonna look if the overall isn't high. And when the overall is high, when I go in and I look, those things are usually on point. And then I look at the acceleration. And that probably sounds stupid as hell, but that's what I look at. Try that shit out. All right, now for the receivers. Oh yeah, and by the way, I don't really care about the size on the offensive lineman. It doesn't seem to matter in the game. There's no real physics, so it's like, you know, it doesn't really matter. Receivers though, it matters a lot. So yeah, I look at, with a receiver, I look at everything. I play receiver, so I'm like, you know what I mean? I look at everything from height to, of course, speed and acceleration. You gotta have both. If you got one and not the other, I'm really not interested. And y'all seen me not recruit high-rated receivers who I said were slow. You have like a 94 speed and a 84 excel, you're slow. Like I can't fuck with you. But if you had a 92 speed and a 91 excel, I'm like, okay, I maybe could rock with you. That's depending on what your other stuff is. All right, so yes, I do look at height. If you're a shorter receiver, I mean, it's not that I'm not gonna use you, because I'll still get you, but you know, I do take into consideration. You can be a little bit slower and your attributes can be a little bit worse if you're taller. That's basically what it is, okay? Release is essential, especially for outside receivers. You can have the slowest receiver on the game. If his release is A1 and he can get off the ball fast, On a fly route, you can hit them whole throw all day. You know what I mean? Those first down, first down, first down. Route running is important. That dictates the separation that, you know, they create when they come out of their breaks. It also dictates how much you can rely on them as far as timing. Because I know I like to throw the curl route at the top, you know what I mean? Like right before you take the last step. But if you got a receiver that's bad at running routes, it's going to take him way longer to come out of his break, and you're going to end up throwing a pick trying to anticipate. Of course, catching is important, but I think catching traffic is even more important, because that just has to do with, is he going to hold on to the ball if he gets touched, you know, while catching it. Spectac is good to have, spectacular catch, so on and so forth. Cornerbacks, the number one most important thing in my opinion is height. Height is more important than everything else. It's the first thing I look at. You could be the greatest corner in the game. If you're 5'8", you're gonna be my dime. Like, I'm not saying I ain't gonna recruit you, but you're gonna be in the dime spot. A 6'3" corner who's average will be amazing on this game. Cause just due to the angle that the ball travels when you throw it, like, he can intercept passes that he probably shouldn't be able to intercept just by the length. Next thing is speed and acceleration. You gotta have both. You cannot have one without the other. If you do, I'm not interested. And my next thing is man coverage. I don't really care that much about zone coverage because I don't run a lot of zone. I don't really care that much about press because I really don't press that much. I mean, obviously, if you just happen to have a really high press rating, I'll utilize it, but I'm really not that concerned with it. Man coverage. So height, speed, excel, man coverage. That's what I look at. All right, my boy David Full Metal Yankee asks, Professor Flem, David, we wild, man. What's your opinion on Pipeline State's player starting time and increasing all attributes for my school to appeal to more recruits? And I asked him to kind of clarify the last two, and he came back and said, how do you recruit a player even if his chances to start aren't very high? And then he asks, coach prestige, conference prestige, increased stadium rank, TV exposure, still a recruit from a direct rival. Like, how do I feel about increasing those things? Okay, so let's start at the beginning. First one, Pipeline States. This is a very unpopular opinion. I really don't give too much of a fuck about Pipeline States. I know some people do all of their recruiting based on pipelines, and if this is real life, that would make a lot of sense. You do get a bonus in the game for it, but I don't pay attention to it at all. And if you follow me, I do just fine in recruiting. That's why I do very well in recruiting. Of course, it's a great bonus to have. I mean, I'm not gonna turn it away, but I don't pay a lot of attention to it. How do I recruit a player if his chances to start aren't high? I don't, you know what I mean? I'm not necessarily saying that's good, because I do, sometimes I'll lack depth in certain positions, but if I don't think you're ever gonna start, I don't recruit you heavy. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody I recruit, I expect to make an impact at some point. Even if you're not making an impact as a freshman, like, once the team is better, you're not gonna make an impact as a freshman, as a true freshman. But by your sophomore, junior year, I expect you to start. If you're a guy who I think is gonna just be on the team taking up a spot, you actually make it harder for me to recruit, because I got recruits coming in, they like, man, you got 10 receivers, but even though 5 of them I know never gonna even play. Because I would rather play a younger guy who's an 80 overall than I would an older guy who's an 83 overall. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would rather have the younger guy in there in most cases, especially if he's either fast. If he got like some crazy attribute that puts him above, like, I would rather start the younger dude. And as far as increasing all your attributes to affect recruiting, I talk about this all the time. Like, it's relatively simple. Like, if you're, like, once you're a 1-star school, all it really takes is like a winning season, you know what I'm saying, to go up to 2-star. As a 2-star school, you win your conference, you go up. Like, all you gotta do is improve to go up. And as you go up, everything else goes up on this game. Now, in the past, there's been some other different things you had to do to make all your stuff go up, but it honestly just kind of goes up on its own. Now, sending people to the league obviously helps with your pro potential. Changing your conference obviously will help with your conference prestige. And outside of that, I just make sure I max out my coach skills under recruiting, and I don't really worry about any of that other stuff. And the last question, man, this was the only one that didn't have anything to do with recruiting. This is from Shocky15. He asks, hey Flem, I was just wondering if you can give any tips to improve your user ability. Yes, I can. And it's here's the tip. This is the only tip I can give because this is what I did, right? If you have access to one of the older games that has training camp, go there. Do the DB drill. I used to do the DB drill for leisure. Like, we would play DB drill for hours without doing anything else. And then also go into a season preferably with somebody else. Like, if you know somebody else that plays the game, if y'all can have a co-op dynasty and player lock on the safety. Don't switch ever. The ball goes up, you're not close to it, get as close to it as you can. And you start to learn all these little nuances, because if that's the only way you can affect the game is at safety, you start to learn how to affect the game from the safety position. Practice mode, experiment with different angles, because on these older games, it depends on how you approach the little circle where the ball is gonna drop. It depends on the angle, speed that you approach it as to how your guy's gonna react. Is he gonna go up, turn around? Is he gonna do like this? Is he not gonna move? You know what I'm saying? Strafe is extremely huge. Like, make sure you're utilizing strafe, and then as you start to get a little bit better, you learn how to kind of bait the computer if you can recognize the routes that they're gonna run. Now, this is much more difficult when you're playing against people because they tend to hot route and they mix it up a lot more than the computer does. But when you play the computer, like, you start to recognize the patterns. Last thing, start your road to glory, create a free safety, and, you know, good luck to you. But yeah, man, that's the only tips I can really give. You just gotta work on that shit, and it's just repetition is all it is. Alright, man, anyway, that's gonna do it for the video. I hope y'all enjoyed it. Again, if you got any questions, man, leave them in the comments section. Don't forget, click the thumbs up button. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already. My name is FlemLo Raps.